Welcome to Inside Brand Partnerships Podcast, your backstage pass to the $100 billion a year world of brand partnerships, featuring insights and voices from behind the collaborations. I'm Jamie, your host, and today we welcome the exceptional Daniel, Senior Director, Brand Partnerships from Barry's, to share his invaluable experience with you all. Daniel will be giving his insight into everything you need to know about successfully starting or running a brand-to-brand collaboration, together with what inspires them and who they might love to do some collaboration with. So whether you're a seasoned professional already dominating the space or brand new to the collaboration arena, this episode is packed with actionable insights. So let's get underway. Hello, Daniel. Great to see you. How you doing?
Jamie, thank you for having me. It's great to see you as well. So great to be here. Thank you for inviting me to join you. I am excited to talk about the topic that I'm very passionate about. So again, thank you.
Fabulous. So for the audience, can you tell us a bit more about yourself, sort of where you're from and how you end up in your current role, please?
Of course. So I'm originally from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. So for those of you who know, that's where they filmed Jaws. It's a very small town outside of Boston. After I, finished grade school, I went to the University of Miami, where I found myself loving the city. I've been here ever since. So studying finance and marketing, I quickly moved over to actually a cruise line, and I worked at NCL for 4 years, kind of rotating around the business. I did a little bit of brand marketing, a little bit of social media, and I found my way to Virgin Voyages, a incredible brand that Richard Branson founded to really shake up the cruise industry. So going into that business, I started in paid media, which was really the first introduction into partnerships. I started doing a lot of deals with media companies like Vox Media or Warner Brothers Discovery to promote the business and get the brand out there across all sorts of digital and linear channels. Of course, lo and behold, we ran into COVID. Launching a cruise line during that period is probably the most difficult thing you can imagine. Think about it. It's a $800 million vessel that you are set to shake up the travel industry. And it's the most impacted vertical you can think of when it comes to sickness, pandemics. And it put a pause on things. Obviously, we had a lot of confidence that we would come out of it. But it was fascinating because I had an opportunity to work on the first ship launch before we paused. And during that launch, I made a lot of great partnership connections across Lululemon, who would do workouts on the ship. We had Talk, which is like Resi or Open Table, where you could book a restaurant reservation to walk on board the ship while it was docked in Manhattan, just to have a meal at one of our restaurants. And we also had this really cool concert that we planned with Live Nation with Becky G inside our Red Room, which was really funny because going to Barry's, it's a completely different Red Room. But the Red Room at Virgin Voyages is a theater. And it was a really cool experience. Literally, the ship is on the way, transatlantic, and we put a pause on everything. And, fast forward a little bit, my CMO comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, you have a knack for this partnership thing. Do you want to do this full time?" And I thought about it and I was like, absolutely. Like, I love building relationships. I love getting creative with coming up with solutions that integrate brands and understanding their business and knowing my business. And I thought that was a really, really unique opportunity. Like, how often does a CMO come to you and say, "Hey, I think this job would be really good for you. You're really good at it. Do you want to give it a go?" And it shows a lot of trust and a good culture to really take that initiative. And I jumped at the opportunity. And ultimately, when we were relaunching the ship back in 2021, we also knew that we had to build brand fame. So taking that understanding of what worked in paid media, we knew that linear TV did really well. We knew, telling the story of a really intricate travel product is not an easy thing. And what we did was I went to a lot of different producers of television series where we had aligned audiences, and we started to get the ship onto TV shows. We did a lot actually in the UK, Jamie. I don't know if you saw this.
I didn't. Where would we have seen that?
So we did the series premiere, season 16 of the BBC Apprentice. So it was the first episode back from COVID. They brought the teams on to have like a whole cruise competition where they had to make their own brands, and they did it on the vessel in London. We did Channel 5, a documentary called The Cruise. It was a 20 episode documentary. Great team at Title Roll. We worked together on that collaboration. And then the last thing was the big one, which was doing a 3 episode integration with The Bachelorette here in the US. And that was taking the ship across Europe, 4 weeks to France and Amsterdam and Belgium. And we had a really incredible experience for that cast and crew, and it showed on air, and what we saw were true business results from the impact of those shows airing, some of our best booking days at the time. And it was a really great learning experience to see what you can find from the in-house data you already have in marketing and then applying it to your strategy. So it was really, really a great experience. And then I ended up at my current role because someone at a recruiting firm reached out to me and said, hey, I have this boutique global fitness company that's interested in talking to you. And I thought, global boutique's an oxymoron. It can only be like a couple brands, right? And lo and behold, it was berries, and I had never taken a berries before. And I took a class. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But I will tell you, 2 days later, it was like this light bulb went off. I realized that, wow, like the feeling that I have now is hard to come by. It's a feeling of accomplishment. Like I did something really hard and I achieved that. And to have a product that does that on a regular basis is very special. So I'm like, I think I can do something here. This is cool. Met the team. They're awesome. And that's where I'm at. That's how I got to my current role.
Fabulous. What a great story. And it sounds like in so many cases that perhaps you didn't go searching for sort of brand to brand collaboration as a vocation or something, but you just naturally warm towards that as something that you became very comfortable with and you were clearly very good at, and somebody recognized that. I think that's a lovely story.
When you work in brand partnerships, you kind of have to be a Swiss Army knife. There's like the saying that if you're good at everything, you're really not a master of anything. But I like to say in partnerships, you really have to have a knack for how a business works and the channels in which that business uses for marketing. So having the experience of social and brand and retail and paid media. I also did SEO and trade at the same time as paid media too. All of those skills and understanding those channels and how they work all factored into the ability of understanding how I can be a more impactful brand partnership leader. And I think we'll have some questions about that in the future.
What are your sort of specific challenges when it comes to finding partners in your current role? Is there anything that you could highlight that are a bit difficult that you come across?
Yeah, I would say the most difficult thing is really finding the right fit. And by fit, I mean audience, what's their demo? Where are they from? Are we in the same places? Are we talking to the same people? I also think you might want to be talking to different people, right? So looking at two different brands and trying to understand how can we help each other? It could be shared audiences. It could be those different audiences. You also want to make sure that the quality of the product or service is very much aligned, right? Sometimes where brands will reach out and the product fit doesn't match our luxurious boutique fitness experience. And thus we have to really navigate, is this the right fit for us to pursue? Some of the challenges in finding the right brand partner, sometimes goals don't align, right? Objectives of these brands don't align. Many times we will want to do something, but finding that brand that we love, let's say we have a short list, these 3 companies that we really want to do something with, maybe some of them already have existing partners that are exclusive, or their offering, what they're able to do with us doesn't match what our expectations would be in creating a partnership proposal that would actually work. So there's always this balance and really understanding, but ultimately those challenges can be overcome through really strong relationships and really working with that team to say, how are we really going to make an impact together? And the sum of all parts want to be greater than what you're putting together.
Yeah, that I think that all makes Makes good sense. And I think you're absolutely right. Having the attention to the detail around, are we not only are we going after the same type of customer demographic, but are we already talking to the same people? And so I think having that as a clear strategy absolutely is great advice. In terms of the collaborations you have worked on, what's gone really well? How do you sort of measure that success?
Yeah, we've had some really incredible partners. In my time, we've had over 70 partnerships that we've put studio level programs together. And out of those partners, what I really love are the ones that make such a difference to the client experience. Someone comes into the studio, they're spending, let's say, 25 pounds or $40 on a credit in some cities. And when they go in there, of course, they have this incredible workout, but what are they getting from a value from that credit? Partnerships like Therabody have been really incredible. We put in the US these carts at every single studio that have Theraguns and wave rollers. That way our clients can either warm up or loosen up after a workout. And it's a really great amenity for them to use and also get familiar with that product and that brand. So we are exclusive with Therabody, and they've been an incredible partner to work with. Another one, for example, is Celsius. We were one of the early brands to carry that company, and they're very much into the fitness and wellness space, being a healthier energy drink. What we've done together is really started off with this fitness relationship many years ago, well before my time. And we've really expanded that. They're partners in our Barry's Birthday Challenge, which is one of our challenges to push clients over a certain number of classes in a 30-day window. They also support us in a lot of different pop-ups. So most recently, Las Vegas, we did one for F1, and that's an incredible experience I'd love to talk more about. They always find ways to support the community. And in fitness specifically, community plays such a pivotal role. They're the first to say yes every time. It's an absolute dream to work with a partner who believes in the community that we've built, and they are just awesome to work with. Great friends, great business colleagues, and we'll continue those programs and moments together for our community. Another company that we've worked with is OUAI. So recently we've had to update some of our locker room amenities. Particularly, we had a brand that stopped manufacturing one of I think it was like the body wash that was in the shower, which forced us to look and say, okay, well, that's something we need. To get a shower, you need to clean up, right? So we looked at a lot of different options. I would say this was a 1.5 year process of looking at different brands, trying different products, having so many conversations. I joined the business when we were like halfway through those, so I got the tail end of them. And we landed on OUAI, which is an incredible brand. Actually, the founder's a client of ours in LA, Jen Atkin, a celebrity hairstylist. And OUAI is a product that when we made the switch, there wasn't a ton of pushback. People were really happy to see it. And I hear from clients quite regularly when I'm in the studio how much they love that product. They're like, I love what you did with that. Because a lot of people also may not know the brand. So partnerships, especially with Barry's, are a way to discover brands. It's a platform where we have a lot of clients coming through our studios, over 100,000 a week in the US. And we are able to help those brands get noticed by some of the, some really interesting and niche clients. So.
And what was key for that is the relationship that you've built. And it's not just a one and done, is it? It's something which is a long-term collaboration opportunity and a long-term relationship that you're trying to establish.
Of course, yeah. Relationships are everything in partnerships. And being able to have a simple conversation, whether it's a new opportunity or something coming up, even on an informal basis, is where you want to get to. And ultimately, it takes time to foster that. You want to spend time with them, and also not always talking business, right? Measuring those partners that I just mentioned, it's really about the success and taking anecdotes from our clients. I talk to clients regularly. I talk to friends. I look at social, and also sharing that with your partners and showing them, hey, this is what I'm hearing. This is going incredibly well. And typically, I'm very fortunate that I work for a great company that provides an incredible service and community. We want to keep that excitement and we want to keep that positive energy going into, the next deal or the next activation together.
Is there any collaborations that you've seen or you've worked on that haven't been successful, and perhaps some of those key challenges and sort of takeaways?
Yeah, sure. I'm not going to name any names in this one, but I think one of the biggest things that go wrong are when internally brands have different expectations and I may not have known about those expectations. Sometimes results are more bottom of the funnel, and in our world, it's more upper funnel. I understand our client behavior. I know what they're looking for. I know what's going to get them going. And I know once they've tried a product, they're not going to go up and scan a QR code for measurement that will show clear attribution to that interaction. Our clients don't do that. Our clients are busy people. It's a 50-minute workout. They're hustlers. They are young professionals, maybe, later stage professionals. I've seen all sorts of ages, but at the core of what they do, they trust us to come in, get a kick-ass workout and get their day going and know that they've accomplished something right from the get-go. When they're coming into the studio, they're not spending a ton of time, maybe like engaging with the brand and scanning the QR code. They're taking time to look at what we have being offered. There's this surprise and delights of, complimentary whey samples or that, let's say a complimentary bottle of iced tea or something. They'll take that, they'll try it, they'll love it on their own accord. And if they really want to, they will absolutely Google it later. That is our audience. They're not deal hunters. So it's a very different audience behavior. So a lot of times there are brands that really think that they're going to receive some sort of engagement that goes into more measurable attribution. It's very important. My biggest takeaway really from that is how can I know their business and their goals sometimes better than my own? How do I know what your marketing goals are? How do I know what your key milestones are? What are the KPIs you're going to measure this partnership against? How can I also reframe this partnership to help better achieve those goals? So there's a lot of those touch points that I try to dive into so I have a better understanding and help manage those expectations. Because without managing expectations, you are going to just have a surprise at the end. And no one wants a surprise. It could be a good surprise, a
Yeah.
pleasant
But
one, but
it's likely to be very, very challenging if
yeah.
you're going off on very different paths together.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's two different thoughts that are running in parallel and you're running towards this partnership together, it's only going to cause more friction when you get to the end. If you get through it all the way and the program runs and you get to the end, it would surprise me if you didn't have any friction or something come up that was like a, oh my God moment. You really want to establish yourself from the very beginning because then they start to build trust. Like there's no part of me wants to misrepresent the brand nor the potential the brand offers other companies. If you are looking for lower funnel clicks, advertise on Meta. Like there's so many other avenues that do it. But if you want to build experiences, you want physical touch points, you want to activate as a brand, those things I can absolutely help you with. There is a digital component to what we offer, but it's not to the level of just buying ads on TikTok.
Yeah. I think that's a really valuable point. Clearly, from any activity, the business would want to see some financial return. But if, like you say, the attribution based on brand to brand collaborations doesn't always equate to that. And I think you are building a relationship where you're, sharing that feedback and you're rewarding the end consumer with a new product or a new service they might not have had anywhere else. And I think that's really important to reference. So thank you for that. Is there any collaborations that have really inspired you that have worked so well for Barry's, outside of perhaps what you've shared already?
Yeah, for sure. We do some pop-ups every year. We just did Aspen Bay Ski Week. We've done Sundance and we've done Ibiza. But last November, we did Las Vegas Formula One. I mentioned that a little earlier. And it was, to me, that inspired me so much because one, it's like my world's colliding. Like I'm a big F1 fan. And what we were able to do is build a studio experience inside literally a mega club. It's Zouk at Resorts World, this incredible venue where for 3 days we ran Barry's Lift and made an incredible experience out of it using all the lighting and sound that the venue has to offer. We laid down flooring, built the mirrors in the main dance area, had full weight sets. So when you would walk in, it was a full experience. You would drop your things off. We had a Celsius Ferrari booth where you can grab cans of Celsius to get your energy going for the workout. Walk to your spot, work out with all the lights, all the sound blasting at 11. After the workout, we had a really cool like recovery shop and refresh sort of idea. Like how can we make someone leave the red room, and then once they go through a little moment, how do they leave the nightclub feeling incredible? So working with partners like Fresh Skincare, we made a full locker room, like facial station and moisturizer station, something you can clear yourself and like get clean from all your sweat, with also some goodie bags to take home. We had Chobani offering their new 20-gram protein drinks that are absolutely incredible, natural, and something our clients are going to love. We made a custom shop with Lululemon so you can get limited edition merch purchased right on site. We also had Therabody come in to offer their beauty products and their recovery products in a whole little like table booth area. So you would come in expecting just a workout, but you left feeling like you had this incredible experience from the very moment you walked in to the very end when you walked out with all this amazing merch, and your face is clear and your muscles aren't achy because you put on the boots from Therabody. So it was one of those moments where it was inspiring to bring partners together in a moment that drove a lot of influencers, a lot of social buzz, pick up from local press and national press, and be a part of a moment that also aligns with audiences that we have, but also a lot of new potential clients, because the F1 audience is continuing to grow. And I think there's a lot of alignment in our growth and the types of fans that watch the sport. So absolutely incredible experience. And we also got to try a new market because we don't have a studio in Vegas. So a lot of learnings that came from that one.
Do you think you'll do that again at a point in the future, either for this year's race event, or do you think that might also expand to places like obviously Austin, which have got a race event there, or do you think that it would just maybe just limited to Las Vegas?
Great question. We're exploring a lot of options right now with pop-ups. We actually have a studio in Austin, so we might try to find some adjacent ways to do something more in the four walls in which we have. But I don't want to disregard the potential. We loved the opportunity. It was a really incredible moment, a lot of success from it. So we're definitely exploring what pop-ups we're going to do in the future. At the moment, we're really gearing up for a lot of studio openings. There's a lot this year, more than double than last year. And we have a incredible Hampton season in the summer. So we have 2 studios there. One is open year round. The other one is open just seasonally. So that's always a really big moment to work with brands and build more experiences in a very vacational luxe audience. So we're working on the Hamptons at the moment.
Sounds all very exciting. Obviously, you mentioned having pop-ups there as something which has been relatively new for last year, but have you run, or can you see any of the latest trends that you're seeing in the sort of brand-to-brand collaboration space? Anything else that you'd like to call out?
Oh, 100%. Well, the hottest thing on the press right now is Nike Skims. Skims, the smaller brand, 4 billion market cap. They are very intentional with who they work with. They've done some really great collaborations already in the space with other brands. And when they have like a face to a campaign, again, they don't have the budgets like a Nike, but they're very intentional. And I think that leads to being more iconic and having that person really stand out for being a Skims model or the face of Skims summer. or winter campaigns. That becomes a badge of honor, like something that you can be proud of as a celebrity. What Nike is, they have deep pockets. Love Nike, by the way. Like I'm wearing Jordans right now. Uh, they're, they have a grasp on athletes. They have a lot of them signed and they pick their top stars. They have them going. And what's really incredible is like being an iconic Nike athlete, I don't think is the same as it used to be. Maybe controversial hot take. Obviously, anyone would be honored. Like if I'm like a high school basketball player, I make it to college and I go get a Nike deal. Oh my God. Like, wow. Like I feel like I would have made it for sure. But when it comes to volume, they have a lot. And there are certain players that get signature shoes. There's a lot of players that don't, and that's totally fine. But I think bringing Skims into the fold, one, the market reacted incredibly well. It drove 7 billion in market cap increase to Nike overnight. That's almost double what Skims is currently valued. That's insane. So the scale of that is mind-boggling. But I believe that their rollout and trying to actually take on a little bit more of that luxe athleisure. There's a lot of brands in the space. You guys can use your imagination. There's several big ones, but to use the power of Nike to propel a brand like Skims into athleisure, I think is a remarkable approach. And we're going to start to see that a little bit later this year and also into next year when they roll it out globally. So I do believe that that's like the hottest thing on the block right now. So I think if there's any other ones that really stand out, but that's really taking the news cycle, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a really great example. I think that's one that I think people should sit up and listen to, is that type of relationship, which, obviously you've referenced. In terms of the collaboration space and how you see that evolving over the next 3 to 5 years, do you see any sort of big trends as the business or as the industry evolves, and anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's two massive trends that are going to be playing a factor in the next 3 to 5 years. The first being brands are going to invest more in experiential and immersive brand activations. I believe there are brands that have done it so well that it's propelled their business growth in such a dramatic fashion by the way that they attack the activation. They support it across multiple channels. I'm talking specifically influencer marketing that you're bringing out influencers to, and your own social content captures. Like organic social, do not sleep on it. It needs to be a focus on any of these campaigns. The brand that comes to mind for doing this very well is Poppy World. And like every time Poppy sets up, it's a moment. They do it very tactically. They're smart about where they do it, when they do it, and how they show up matters. And I love how detailed they get into. I know it's a big undertaking by that team, but they're doing a phenomenal job. The other trend, I would say, is more, I would say, deeper integrations between brands and then the content IP. A great example of deeper integrations is that Nike Skims example. But I believe that there's a lot to gain when you're bringing really great brands together and really going deep on, it's going to be a product. We're going to, be holding hands across like maybe a music festival, like whatever it may look like. There's a lot of ways to do it on the product side. Or do you do it from the experiential side? Is it on the content side? But I think it goes beyond just, hey, like, let me give you some credits so that you can like raffle them off in your newsletter. Like that to me isn't a meaningful integration. And I think it doesn't really help both brands. And people are starting to realize we need to take time in brand partnerships. We actually need to do this in a very considerate way that clients and potential customers will have a great reaction to. And I like to put those buckets into, there's partnerships that just make sense. There's partnerships that are like the expect the unexpected, where you like surprise someone. And like between those buckets, you have a lot of wiggle room and trying to figure out how you can actually enhance the experience for your customers and clients.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so true. And ironically, it's something that we've heard as we've been recording the podcast from other brands. It's, it's really about that relationship being built and being very aligned and making sure that you're both on the same path, as well as it's not just about the bottom line, like financial return, the return on any sort of investment. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. Last question, a bit of a personal one. So if you could work with any brand for a dream collaboration, who would it be and why?
Oh my God. In my current role or just like
You
whenever?
Daniel, you can answer that
Oh
however
my
you like.
God.
It's the one that's just like, that would be the business that I would like to do some collaboration with.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. I would say, okay, I'm a big car guy, clearly by the F1 Vegas thing that really inspired me. So I would say Porsche. I'm just a really big car guy. I love how they activate. I like how they show up with different companies. I like the celebs that they work with. I feel like they are this iconic heritage brand that survived some hard times in their early company history and have made themselves a staple in luxury and reliability. I'm like a I'm a car guy to the point where like I look at cars so much that I need to pick the reliable one too. It's got to perform well, but it's got to be reliable. I can't just like have a car that breaks down every 5,000 miles, you know? So I think Porsche does a lot of great work in the experiential and activation side, and they do a lot of really wonderful partnerships. And I think they make the most of those partnerships. They don't leave any deliverable unturned before they go on and understand all the things that are on the table and really picking what's going to work for them. I really like that approach.
Lovely. I think that's a great example. So as we wrap up, I want to say a huge thank you to Daniel from Barry's for joining us today, sharing your experience on brand to brand collaborations. It's been an absolute pleasure. Remember, we're Brand Partnerships. If you're interested in brand to brand collaborations, I'll share a link in the description, but also below in the comments. Stay tuned for our next episode. But in the meantime, thank you and goodbye from me and Daniel.
Thank you, Jamie, for having me. Really a pleasure, and have a great one, guys.
Lovely. Thanks very much. Bye for now.